My adoptive mother is threatening to disown me just because I won't give her biological son a job he's not qualified for. So, you know what? If she wants to threaten me with that, I'll just leave. And I'll see how she can pay for the $225,000 left on the house. Let's find out what she does. Hey guys, I've decided to write a post here because I figured I could use some advice from internet strangers. I don't have many people in my life to count on. So I think the last straw of it all was when I got promoted to work as a manager. Something that's very rare for a woman my age. It sounds like a nice thing, and I guess it technically is. I'm actually good at my job, and I've worked extra hard to get the promotion. I always have got along well with my boss, and it should be a time of celebration, but instead I feel like I'm sinking in quicksand. I still live with my adoptive mother and her son. They don't really have an income and rely on me for food and rent, and it's absolutely suffocating. The financial situation is dire, and I can't seem to save up much for myself. Every day I drag myself out of bed, exhausted before I even start. I'm underweight and tired all the time because of how much I work, and I barely eat enough because there's always something more important that my salary needs to cover. If it's just rent and basic necessities, that should not be a problem for me at all. My adoptive mom and brother love to dress up nicely, go to fancy places, and pretend like they have money. But it's all a facade. They're living off of me. The worst thing is that they seem to feel entitled to my money. It's like I have to pay them back for having given me a family. Still, it doesn't feel like they're family at all. My adoptive mom took me in when I was 12. I think I've always sort of known why. It wasn't out of my kindness of the heart or anything. She just saw me as an investment. I was a math genius at the orphanage, winning multiple competitions and scholarships to school since I was 8. She saw a benefit in raising a smart, potentially successful kid. She didn't have to pay for my tuition fee. She was right, I guess, because here I am providing for her and her son. My brother, on the other hand, has been spoiled from the moment he was born. He's 31 now and hasn't managed to get a job. He's lazy, and I don't think he's ever faced any real consequences for his actions. Mom always blames me for outshining him, as if it's my fault he's useless, and to be honest, I've never felt safe around him. When I was 14, my life had settled into a routine at school. Studies, trying to stay out of other people's way, especially my brother. He was always around, always lounging, always looking for trouble. Even at 20, no job, no responsibilities at all. One afternoon, I had just won another regional competition, and my teacher brought me this really nice dress to wear at the award ceremony. My stepmother and my brother didn't even show up, so my teacher had to take me home and buy me dinner. I was in my room and I didn't hear my brother approach until it was too late. He stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame with a smirk that sent a chill down my spine. He started making comments with a tone that made my skin crawl. I knew where this was headed. I had seen him act this way with other girls his age, but I never thought that he would turn his attention to me. I kept my eyes on my notebook, trying to ignore him, hoping he would lose interest and leave, but he didn't. He crept closer, and I could feel his breath on my neck, and to this day I still think about what would have happened if I had not been smart enough to push his buttons. I knew that he had a crush on his teacher because he had been sending extremely vulgar text about her to his friends. I hacked into his computer not long ago to get my assignment back. See, he used to bully me by putting them on his computer and erasing them from mine, so I used it against him. I told him that if he ever speaks to me inappropriately again, I would let the whole world know what he's got to say. I would send the text to his teacher herself, and I would let her decide what to do, and he backed off. From then on, I've always been alert. I sleep with my bedroom door locked. I change my lock very, very often. So when I got promoted to manager, I was scared to tell them about it. I kept feeling like something bad was going to happen. Everything that I've ever achieved seemed to only have brought more responsibilities on my shoulders. But of course, I couldn't hide many things from them. I was sitting at the kitchen table scanning the promotion letter for the 100th time, and Mom made me show her the letter itself because she said that she can't believe that they would make a child like me a boss. Then, before I was ready, it began. Your brother needs a job. I sighed internally. Here we go again. I tried helping him before, and this wasn't the first time. Every attempt in the past has ended disastrously. His last job ended with him harassing a female coworker and getting fired on the spot. I couldn't risk my reputation by associating with someone like him again. But Mom did not see it that way. To her, I was selfish for not using my connections to help him. After everything they had supposedly done for me, she thought that I owed it to him. It was so infuriating. They took me in to exploit my talents and turned me into a cash cow. They've been living off me for years, and yet I was the selfish one. I explained again that I could not risk my job. I'd worked too hard to get here, but she wouldn't listen. She never did. She saw it as a personal betrayal, a failure to live up to my obligations to the family. Then she finally dropped that ultimatum. Get this, if I didn't get a job for my brother, I would be disowned. I disowned them after everything I've done for them. The words hit me like a physical blow. I felt a surge of anger, stronger than anything I felt in a long time. I was their meal ticket, their scapegoat. I went to my room and my hands were shaking. I wanted to walk away, but I didn't. I just broke down in my room, but the irony was that I sort of expected this to happen. I've never felt like I was appreciated or loved in any way. I felt like I was an idiot for not being able to leave right then and there. As I'm writing this post, I'm still not sure if I could possibly leave. I don't know how to explain the struggle. I know the answer is so obvious. I shouldn't be here 1 second longer, but it feels so physically painful to actually leave. I don't have many friends. I don't think I have anyone I can stay with right now, and it feels absolutely terrifying to be alone. I'm scared that they're going to find me and punish me for running away. Am I crazy for being this scared? I'm an adult woman, after all. Do you have any advice? What should I do now? It's been 2 days and since the conversation, and Mom has been continuously putting pressure on me. I think she's serious about disowning me. I'm not sure what's worse, being an orphan again or giving in to her request. They all sound so terrifying. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Okay, so this is a very interesting story, and OP is in a very difficult position. However, we do have multiple updates, and things might just turn up. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing for daily videos, and let's see what happened 1 week later, update number 1. Hello again. It's been over a week, and I wanted to start this by thanking you for your comments. I didn't expect to have so many people care about my story. This is a really big comfort, especially during such a hard time. Some of you have criticized me for not having left earlier. Believe me, I've had the same thought. It's hard to do it when you don't exactly have a good support system. But that's when I had an idea of what I could do to get myself out of this mess. I hesitantly reached out to my middle school teacher. Let's call her Miss Thompson, because I felt like she was the only one that I could trust. Miss Thompson had always been kind to me, recognizing my potential and offering encouragement when I felt overwhelmed. She was the one driving me to competitions and award ceremonies when Mom was nowhere to be found. She would notice whenever I showed up in class with a bruise. She asked me to see her in her office and asked if I needed any help. Summoning all my courage, I confided in her about my adoptive family and the pressure I was under. Miss Thompson listened intently. She didn't judge or dismiss my feelings. Instead, she offered support. I think she's the first person to have ever cared deeply for me. She assured me that I deserved to be treated with respect and that my talent should be celebrated, not exploited. Miss Thompson promised to help me find a way out of the toxic environment I was trapped inside. Guys, she reached out to social services, explained my situation, and within the first few weeks, arrangements were made for me to move into a group home that specialized in supporting teenagers in abusive situations. Unfortunately, Mom found out about it. I'm not sure what happened after that, but Mom took me out of that school and we moved to another state. I never got to speak to my teacher again until last week. I drove to my old school and asked around, and I found out that she had recently retired. I asked for her phone number, and just like that, I called her up. We met at a nearby coffee shop, and it brought tears to my eyes to see her. She's still that sweet lady who took me in when nobody else did. She hugged me warmly, and the first thing she said was that she was sorry. She didn't expect things to unravel the way that they did. During our conversations, I told Miss Thompson about the secret fund that I've been contributing to every month. I've been squirreling away money, hoping to find enough to start over someday. Miss Thompson praised my foresight, and she even promised to help me manage it properly. She said I could stay with her for a few months before I go back to get on my feet. It's going to be a 5-hour drive to work every day, but that's still better than nothing. I mean, come on, an hour and a half. Seeing her reminds me of what genuine affection and care feel like. Definitely not whatever my family was offering. That's really giving me the final push that I needed to get out of my disastrous situation. So I made up my mind, guys. My mother was going to disown me anyways. Fine, I thought. If that's what it took to be free, then so be it. When I got home from my meeting with Miss Thompson, nobody was home. They were probably out eating at a fancy restaurant, and I went straight to my room and started packing. I thought about all the money I had spent on them over the years, money that could have been saved, invested, or even used for my future. It made me sick. I finished packaging and headed out the door. I left the house without looking back, and leaving a massive bill for all the rent that I'd paid. It totaled up to $225,000. As I walked away, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sadness, really, but also relief. For the first time in years, I was free. I didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, I could start living myself for good. As I'm writing this post, this is going to be the first night that I spent at Miss Thompson's place. I'm tired and I'm scared as hell, but I think this is the right decision. There hasn't been any call or text from my so-called family because they don't really care. I think I would take them about a week to reach out, because that's probably when they run out of money. We'll see how things go. I'll have to get some sleep now. I'll have to wake up early tomorrow to commute to work. Update number 2. Hey guys, so it's been 2 weeks, and I wanted to at least end the last update on a good note. But perhaps I spoke too soon. As I settled into my new living situation, I did feel a sense of hope. But that hope was short-lived. When I checked my account, the secret fund I've been so careful to protect was gone. Panic set in as I realized that all the money I had painstakingly saved and vanished. I immediately went to the bank to find out what happened. The bank teller informed me that there's been a recent withdrawal from my savings account of about $80,000. I was in shock. I knew I had not touched the money, so I couldn't have been the one who made all of the withdrawals. Hell, I wasn't even spending my money on that much food. What would I even splurge on? As the reality of the situation sank in, I remembered the night that I had told my adoptive mom and brother that I was leaving. It was the same night my credit card mysteriously disappeared. I couldn't find it, but I was too emotional to think about the possibilities that it's been stolen. I felt a cold dread wash over me. They had known about my secret fund all along and had waited for the right moment to steal it. I don't know how they found it, but they might have access to my privacy more than I've realized. In a panic, I purchased a new phone and changed all of my passwords. I even took my laptop for a cybersecurity checkup. They didn't find anything unusual, and I don't know how they managed to get my information, but the truth is they haven't, and they've been using it against me. Miss Thompson has helped me file a police report and contact a lawyer to discuss the possibility of recovering the stolen funds. Many things are still in progress, but so far the bank has unfortunately refused to help me since they told me that my family was withdrawing on my behalf. They have the camera footage of my brother showing up, talking to the bank teller, and just being all polite and charming. They even showed me a document with a fake signature of mine approving the withdrawal on my behalf. It further reaffirms the fact that this has been planned for a while. They probably knew I was going to move out, and they knew I had a secret stash. That's why they didn't call me about the bill I left. They didn't care. They have my money either way, and they knew I would have to call them after finding out that they took my savings. Honestly, I'm fuming, but I'm still not sure really what to do. Should I wait for the police, or should I just confront them? Now that I'm out there, I feel like I have so much courage to stand up for myself, but I don't want to act hastily. What would you do in this exact situation? Update number 3. Hey guys, I just thought that I should write an update now that I have some time to do so. The last 2 months have been crazy, and I did not expect things to elaborate this fast. Long story short, things have been looking up a little, but there's still a long ways to go. So I was mad about the withdrawals and eventually returned home to confront them. I demanded that they pay me back the money that they've stolen. They predictably refused, and they even took it a step further. by crying to the neighbors, telling them that I was an ungrateful child who abandoned her family as soon as I found a bit of success. Their manipulation to me was so absolutely infuriating. Guys, at this point, I'd realized that this was more than I could handle alone. Well, so I asked for a few days off work to deal with the mess, and as soon as my boss found out what's happening, she offered to help. Honestly, her compassion caught me off guard. I feel as though I was raised in a family that conditioned me to believe that everyone's out to get me. Now that someone I know offers a helping hand, it almost feels too good to be true. My boss said that she had looked through my profile before hiring me, so she's not too surprised. Still, she's concerned. She insisted that I see a therapist, something that I've always resisted, thinking it's nothing more than a waste of money. But in my current state, I knew I needed all the help. I could, get as much as I needed. My boss's offer was a lifeline, and I accepted her help reluctantly. She made sure that I understood all the insurance terms, and as it turned out, my insurance was going to cover around 70% of the cost for therapy. Well, that's a really, really good offer. So I've been going for 5 weeks now. Therapy, it's turned out to be more beneficial than I could have ever imagined. Even though it was hard, I continued working part-time. The routine gave me a sense of stability, and knowing I had a place for mental support helped me cope with the chaos. Here's the thing, though. I began to realize that many things have gone wrong during my teenage years. I'd never really had the space or time to process the events until now. I remembered my adoptive mom purposefully enrolling me in multiple competitions and awards. There was one incident that stood out in my mind. During one of these competitions, a male judge harassed me, and my mom turned a blind eye, even encouraged me to be nice to him, for the sake of winning. I was too young to fully understand what was happening, but I knew it felt wrong and scary. These events were not documented, of course, and they existed only in my memories. At the time, I was terrified and convinced that nobody would believe me if I spoke up. Now, in the therapist's office, I could speak my truth. The more I talked, the lighter I felt, and the therapist helped me understand that none of it was my fault. I'd been a child manipulated and abused by those who should have protected me. Now, I'm seriously thinking about suing them. I'm talking to a few lawyers, and I feel like I've finally gained back the strength to actually do something about my life. I'll keep you guys updated about how everything is going. Update number 4. It's been a few months, and I'm sorry for having taken so much time to write an update. I thought that I would have the time, but I really haven't, you see. Things are not over yet, but there's some news that I thought that you should know. Here's the thing about the lawsuit. I'm not sure what to sue them for, the fraud, the abuse, or both. I wasn't sure I had enough evidence to pull this off, and after all the years, I realized that I've let too many things slide. And to be completely honest, I don't know if I'm ready to let the whole world know that I've been abused. It feels like it's really weird to say that out loud now. See, I had a long conversation with Miss Thompson about this, and I've moved out of her place, but we still meet up every week. She encouraged me to speak out, not just for my own sake, but for the sake of the kids who looked up to me. Orphans are a very, very vulnerable group. If things have been this hard for me, even though I have a stable income and a good career, many others might have been struggling. Her words really struck to me like a chord. By sharing my story, maybe I could help others who might be in a similar situation given the courage to come forward. That's when I decide to absolutely take a stand. Yep, that's right, I'm taking a stand. I made the decision to sue my adoptive mother for fraud and abuse, meaning that I'll also have to speak out against the male judge who abused his power. It wasn't an easy decision, but I knew it was the right one. The trial against my adoptive mother was grueling. I had substantial evidence of the financial fraud that she committed, bank statements, transaction records, testimonials from neighbors and acquaintances who had seen the lavish lifestyle she and my brother maintained, on my dime. We also hired a specialist and proved that the signature on the document was a phony. The bank is probably going to get in trouble for this too, so I won the case against her for fraud. She was ordered to repay the stolen money and face legal consequences for her actions. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough evidence to pursue charges of abuse. Ms. Thompson also agreed to testify, but her words were not enough to convince the court. Much of what I endured had been not documented, and without concrete proof, the legal system could not hold her accountable for those aspects of my suffering. Honestly, it's a victory, but it doesn't feel like one. People are advising me to sue the bank because I'm probably going to get compensated very, very nicely. But something just really bothers me about the fact that she's going to get away with abuse. She's probably not going to have to serve, and I'm not sure what to do now, but I'll take my time and try to think things through very clearly. Update number 5. Hey guys, this is probably going to be the last time that I make a post. A lot's happened in the last few months and I'm ready to move on. But I just wanted to wrap things up a little before that because I feel like I really owe it to you. After my trial was released to the public, something unexpected happened. 11 girls, 11, came forward, each with their own harrowing story about that male judge. It turned out he had a long history of taking advantage of teenage girls, using his position of power to exploit them. My decision to speak out also allowed them to break their silence. With the new wave of testimonies, the authorities reopened the case against the judge. We're now gathering evidence enough to build a strong case, aiming to ensure that he would be held accountable for his actions and sent to prison. The process of collecting evidence and preparing for the trial was intense, but it also felt good to do something right. Of course, at this point, I still didn't have enough evidence to reopen my own case against my mom's abuse. The turning point came when Mom reached out, asking to see me, and she said that she wanted to have a talk. Reluctantly, I agreed, sensing there might be more to uncover. When I arrived, the judge was there, and they both sat me down in the living room. To my shock, they revealed the truth. They were in a relationship, and my mom had knowingly allowed him to do whatever he pleased. They offered me a twisted deal. They would be better parents to me if I just dropped the charges and convinced the other girls to let it go. The audacity was absolutely staggering. They genuinely believed I could be manipulated into protecting their secret. What they didn't know was that I had come prepared. A recorder. I had it in my pocket, capturing every word of our conversation, and I just remained calm, playing along just enough to keep them talking, ensuring I had all the evidence I needed. As soon as I left, I released the records to the police. The response was immediate and pretty explosive. The police obtained a warrant to search my adoptive mother's house. Among the discoveries was a recorder planted in my old room. This explained how they had known about my secret stash and my plan to leave home. It's funny how I accidentally let them taste their own medicine with the secret recorder that I brought to the meeting that day. With the evidence in hand and authorities moving quickly, my adoptive mother and the judge were arrested, charged not only with fraud and abuse, but also for their roles in a wider conspiracy to manipulate and exploit. It turned out that my mother was like a middlewoman, finding teenage girls for the judge to take advantage of. My brother, too, he was in on this. That really explains his sick attitude towards me and other women. His history of harassment combined with new evidence of his involvement led to his arrest as well. So, I initiated my emancipation. Finally cutting last ties, I'm waiting for the documents to be finalized, but with both of them in prison, I'm technically free now. The lawsuit against the bank had won me $320,000 in a settlement. It's quite a hefty amount. I bought Miss Thompson a car. I got back to work and brought my boss on vacation to Alaska. She's always loved the cold, but to me it's annoying. We've become close friends, and next year I'm going to lead a charity project that aims to send orphans to school for free. Oh, that's it. I'm actually very happy now. It's strange how much things could change in such a short amount of time. Guys, thank you for tuning in from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Guys, these two comments have completely different perspectives. The first one says, I'm so happy for OP. The fact that she managed to get out of that situation safe and sound and just give back to the community tells me that she deserves, a good life more than anyone. I'm also happy that she found herself 2 loyal friends. It's important to have that moral support to make tough decisions. I hope things only go up from here. Comment number 2, it says this. I'm probably nitpicking, but I cannot get over the fact that OP is supposedly a math genius, and somehow she still lets herself suffer in such a terrible situation for so long. Aren't you supposed to be pretty smart? Anyways, I'm glad it all worked out one way or the other. I hope the other 11 girls got a fair trial too. The system is so rigged these days. Guys, let me know what you think about those 2 comments, and if you want to add a bit of perspective, drop it down below. My name's Mr. Edito, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for daily stories. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.